guys, welcome to Black Ambassadors of Change. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Today we have a great program for you today. Last week we went to a great seminar put on by Charlamagne the God on mental wellness for Mental Wellness Day. And we broke this seminar up into 2 episodes. So stay tuned today for part 1 of mental wellness, and hopefully you get something great from it. Tell your friends, tell your family that Black Ambassadors of Change is on. Stay tuned.
All right, since we're talking about the historical significance of the Black church on a Sunday on this Mental Health Awareness Day, I thought we'd start with a little call and response. So to illustrate the influence of the Black church in our culture, I'd like to start with a little exercise. When I say God is good, you say all the time. And all the time? God is good. When I say won't he do it, you say won't he will. Won't he will. Now, we have developed a tendency to do call and response. And I think that we have done that as it relates to our mental health. When we walk in on Sunday, and when Brother Johnson says, "Sister, how are you doing?" we say, "I'm too blessed to be stressed." We say, "I'm too anointed to be disappointed." When in actuality, we may have been crying just before we came to service. When in actuality, the night before, we may have learned that someone in our family died from COVID. When in actuality, we may be struggling to pay the bills. And so the reality is, the Black church has been the mental health professionals in our community for centuries. A lot of that stems from the systemic racism that is in present day medicine and that is in psychiatry. And so the church is a natural hub of providing healing. And so what I think we need to do, and what I'm so grateful for these esteemed panelists here with me today, is to make a real connection between our spiritual lives and our emotional lives.
Amen.
And so I think the challenge becomes, how do we leverage the trust and the influence that the church has on our life to make real, lasting, and deep and meaningful change as it relates to our emotional health?
Drop that line. Well, you have your own method that you created on Toltec, Mayan, and Native American systems of knowledge. What are the basic principles of your method as they relate to holistic therapy that sounds a little different from where we were just coming from?
So, hi everyone. So good to be here. So good to be here. So, I guess I would say that starting with the Toltec principle that we are powerful co-creators. And so when we stop giving our authority away to anything that is outside of us, something changes. Everything changes. When we stop giving our authority to the church, to the doctor, to the teacher, to the person with a PhD, and we start to recognize that the power has always been within us, not from an ego place.
That deserves an applause.
Yeah.
Not from the wounded ego. What's the wounded ego? Not this bad twin that we have to battle it out with. The wounded ego is the hurt inner child that is asking for healing. So when we recognize that our power is as far away as our breath, when we recognize that it is just a matter of breathing in life force energy, coming into our bodies, settling into our emotional bodies, and grounding in the present moment, it is the only thing that we need. in order to connect with source energy. We could call it whatever it is that we are in our sovereign right to call sacred energy, collective energy, spirit, God, goddess. And the moment that we can connect with our breath and we can connect with the fact that we are all one and powerful co-creators is the moment that we can heal ourselves. That healing is within our hands. And so in regards to that, there's that. Oh, one more thing in regards to that is so my way, right, comes from Toltec, Mayan, and Native American systems of knowledge because I'm from Mexico, the central part of Mexico, Mesoamerica. But these principles are found in every wisdom tradition from around the world, meaning that it is in our blood, in our DNA, and it's just a remembrance of who we are. Just a remembrance.
So that brings me to you, Queen, and African spirituality it aids us in our well-being, and what are those 5 steps, and what is the importance of it to us all?
The foundation of all healing is the Most High within you, and making that divine connection. And I was led to receive it as impeccable listening. I heard intuition earlier. To begin to ask, then to listen, and then to act. And when you do the asking from your highest self, when you then do the listening, you do hear. And then we must not settle back, we must now act. And if we would follow that as a way, a roadmap, we would not be depressed. We would not be wounded. We will not go into relationships that cause us harm. We will not eat ourselves to sleep and wake up and be feeling sick the next day. We would not press down our hurt because we're asking, how, Most High, do I deliver myself from this suffering? How can I get a new life? What do I need to do to liberate myself? Where is my finance? Where is my mate? Where is my life? And so when you make that deep asking, sometimes you have to hit the floor to really ask. And then at that moment you say, now where do I go from here? And you listen. You catch it, and now you get up and you walk. Yes. And one of the ways of walking, how I've done it is through the rites of passage. That is the missing link. I'm so grateful today because today we finally had, after 35 years of the rites of passage, sacred ones, that we had 9 girls on the call, 13 to 17. We missed it. We missed that time. We've been trained by the women, trained by the elder men. And when we get that instruction, that guidance early on, we don't suffer because we have a community that we can build from. And so that to me is going to help us to stay balanced mentally, because the community, I need help from you. I need help from my brother. We need help from each other. That's the unity. The unity is in the community. So I say thank you.
Yes, it is. Anita, you practice spiritual psychology, and you show people how it can help them on a daily basis. How does the intersection of spirituality and mental health come together? How did you know you were a healer?
Okay, I love that. A few different questions in one. So I think actually it's really interesting because we were talking backstage, and how did I know I was a healer? So for all of my life, I've seen spirits and would hear voices from different realms, and so I thought that I was just strange and weird. And what was happening was that there was this moment in my late teens when I began to hear voices. And the voices were saying things that were very disturbing. And what I realized, because I put myself in a place of asking, right, for guidance. And some of the voices that I would hear, I would realize that I would hear them when I would walk by a person. And so I said, oh, wait a minute. And I'm still a teenager now, so I didn't have the discernment of maybe I shouldn't say anything to them. And so what happened is I would start saying it, right? And I would ask someone, oh, I would tell them what I thought I heard them saying, and they would either get scared or mad or how did they know? Well, the last person that I said it to, he was smiling and talking to me, and all I could hear was, I don't know where my wife and children are. And so I said, I know you don't know where your wife and children are. And he grabbed me. He was like, how did you know they're missing? Where are they? And I'm like, oh my God, it was a very traumatic experience. And so I ran home, I went upstairs, and I just prayed to God. I was like, I don't know if this is supposed to be a gift, but I'm gonna end up in a psych ward if I don't figure this out. And so I prayed, and then I realized, I prayed for guidance, I prayed for community, and all of a sudden I was surrounded by people who understood what I was going through. And I was able to discern the voices, which voices were mine, which were not, right? So I didn't necessarily have to go on meds to numb all of it out because my intuition was actually speaking to me as well. And so what I ended up doing, I asked for a calmer way for me to use my gifts. I asked God, and I had a dream that I was giving readings, and so that's what happened from around 17, 18. That's when I started giving readings to people. And what was happening was that people kept coming back without learning anything. It was like they would like to hear, oh, how did I know I'm going to meet someone whose name means beautiful, right? And I'm like, the reason, I know I'm going off a little bit, but the reason I know these things is because everything has already happened, right? I can't know something that hasn't happened yet. I can't know that. Time is not linear, right? And so what I would try to explain back then, I feel like we're in a world now where people can understand that a little more. But if you imagine a CD, right? I don't know if you guys are old enough to know what a CD is. But the whole album is on the CD, right? But when we put it in, we only hear one part of it, right? And so that's how we're living this existence. We are hearing this one part of it, but that dream that's inside of you, it has already happened. And just like Queen Afua said, if you ask and listen and act, that dream is gonna happen. And so one last thing about spiritual psychology, the well person in spiritual psychology is someone who knows how to love and be loved. That's it.
And it starts with love yourself first. It's always an easy thing to do, and I just had a woman come up to me one day after a totally different kind of seminar. She asked me, she talked about, she said there was you love yourself, how do you do that? It broke my heart, but it also woke me up. And Dr. Henderson, one of the things I wanted to ask you specifically is, how can things like African spiritual practices be incorporated into an individual's mental wellness routine?
Well, I think that we have experts on the stage who can speak to that more eloquently than I could. But what I tell people is when they are dealing with mental health challenges, whether it's depression, whether it's drug use, whether it's post-traumatic stress disorder, or schizophrenia, like you shared, that we need to emphasize a holistic approach.
Right.
So when I see people that I work with, and when I work with patients in the clinic that I work with in Harlem, I don't start off first talking about medications.
Alright guys, so we're walking around, they have some vendor booths out here, and we're just going to take a look at what they're selling. You have a couple of vendor booths. So exactly, can I talk to you guys for a second? So what are you selling here? What is all this?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. The marques.
So it's OGC stands up. Cool. See, that's a little. Hi, I'm Dina Del Rose, and I'm the founder and CEO of OGCJ Clothing. This is my sister Rachel.
Hello.
And OGCJ stands for Only God Can Judge, and we're all about good vibes, positivity. And today, which is very important to talk about mental health awareness, so we teamed up with Z100 to create these bundles because you are not alone. So there's a t-shirt, a double-sided beanie, tote bag. You get this lovely journal, a postcard to send to a friend, and some stickers. And in addition to, we also have different products like hats and t-shirts and sweaters for men, women, unisex. And right now until December 31st, we are donating 10% of all proceeds to the wonderful Trevor Project that helps LGBTQ youth.
So if someone want to get your product after today, how can they acquire your product?
OGCJclothing.com.
Awesome.
OGCJ Clothing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
You too. Thank you.
Appreciate
it. So we got the U.S. Army here too. We talk about mental health. I guess the military is a good place as any to talk about mental health. So hopefully I get to talk to the brother a little bit about what part they play in the mental health seminar today. All right, guys, we're gonna just continue to showcase some of the books. So we are right here with the author of My Grandmother's Hands. Could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Charlamagne the God. It's very nice to meet you, brother.
Nice to meet you. So we're a vlog called Black Ambassadors of Change, and we're a self-help vlog trying to improve the mental state, inform our community, and inspire our community. So I'm trying to just tell me a little bit about your book and what exactly is the premise of your book.
Yeah, so the premise of the book is really how do we begin to address the racialized trauma and how it shows up in the body and what we can begin to do to heal it and work with it in our community.
So what inspired you to do this?
My grandmother. My grandmother was, dealing with things that we couldn't really articulate.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I got like 50 years old that I was able to articulate what she was experiencing because I experienced something similar.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did it impact your life?
Well, I think both in terms of the difficulties that my grandmother experienced, but also in terms of the resources that my grandmother exhibited. I think one of the ways she experienced my life, or the way that it impacted my life, was that it allowed me to realize that trauma is not primary. Like resource and resilience and Black joy is primary. Trauma thwarts that, right? But that is not central.
Oh, thank you. So how can people acquire your book if they want to get your book if they're not here?
So one of the things that they can do is if you can the little scan thing over there. Yep. If they click that, then they can get that. If they want to get that book directly, they can get it, and then that book is coming out pre-order.
So do you have a website? Do you have
resma.com, resmaa.com.
Are you Amazon or any of the platforms?
On Amazon. It's on all those platforms. It's a New York Times bestseller.
All right, brother. Thanks a lot for talking. Thanks for attending the seminar. Appreciate it. It's very important.
Thank you, brother.
All right.